What is up, Scentsy fans? It's Patricia, and today's video is discussing some tips that I've learned over time from using Scentsy. I'm a wax addict, but I also am a consultant, so I've taken some of the information that I've learned from being a consultant and kind of merged that into being a wax addict, and hopefully that will help you kind of navigate your Scentsy journey, whether you be a consultant, a customer, or just getting into wax. Hopefully these tips will help you. I've done a video many years ago along this line, and I've always wanted to update it, and I've been a little reluctant to because I'm somebody that wants to get all the information out, and sometimes I feel like if I can't get everything out, then the video won't be good enough. So what I'm going to do is just go through talking points, but I would welcome you down in the comments below to continue the discussion and to chime in with your experience, because that might help other people. So let's get started. Tip number one is be careful of how much you purchase of any one scent. The reason I say this is scent preferences can change. My scent preferences have changed over time. I'll give you an example. When I first started, I liked cinnamon apple, I liked fall and winter. Now I've come to realize that I'm really enjoying some spring and summer scents, probably even more so than I used to, and definitely a little bit of a threat to my love for fall and winter. So, which is kind of a surprise. If you would have told me this 6 years ago when I first became a consultant, that I would love spring, summer almost as much as I love fall, winter, or even a little bit more, I'd be surprised. I'm just gonna give you an example. Years ago, I purchased a scent, hibiscus water. I melted it, I loved it. I purchased a couple of more, so I think I had 2. Then I saw it in a flash sale and I purchased 6, and I've held on to them for a long time. Recently, I've gone back to remelt it, and although I do like it, I don't have the same love that I used to, so I wish I would have warmed it when I loved it. I guess that would be another take-home message. Make sure you don't buy too much of any one scent, and also melt things when you love them, because that's when they're at their prime, and usually scents will reappear again later. Tip number 2, try to make your wax melting and your wax purchasing roughly the same. So when you're buying wax, you should probably say to yourself, how many wax bars do I roughly go through in a month? And then roughly purchase the same amount. For instance, say you're someone that melts through 15 bars of wax a month. Is it wise to purchase 45 wax bars a month? No, because you're going to get a surplus. And then the wax is just sitting there not doing any good in your cupboard or your cabinet or under your bed. I guess another example would be, if you have a certain amount of storage space, try not to exceed that. But I think really we have to go back and think to ourselves, how much do we warm per month? And that's roughly what we should be buying per month. Now, an exception would be, say if a really wonderful deal came up on the website, or you were at a craft fair and saw some unique waxes that a vendor was selling, or you were exposed to a flash sale or a clearance sale that had some scents that you wanted to try at great prices. That would be a time that I would say, go ahead and splurge a little bit. Tip number 3 is make sure you are picking warmers that work for your needs. So personally, as a wax addict, I want hot warmers that are going to give me a really strong scent throw and a really strong release. So for me, that would be using 25-watt ceramic bulb warmers. Sometimes I would say unglazed might be a little bit hotter than glazed, but it's hard to know for sure. I would also say a little bit less hot might be some 40-watt warmers. Even though the wattage is higher, sometimes I find, because a lot of the Edison bulb warmers are made out of glass, they lose a little bit of their heat faster. So glass warmers tend to not get as hot as ceramic. They look pretty. I would say they even look, for the most part, prettier. I like to use those for nightlight purposes, but I tend to not use as many glass warmers in general as ceramic. I just want the stronger scent throw. For element warmers, I want 12-watt or higher. Just that's my preference. I find element warmers tend to prolong the scent at a nice steady level. Now, the ones that are metal, I find those perform very well as well. So it depends. What if you're someone that likes a really light scent throw? Then you might want to go for glass. Probably the most gentlest ones would be a glass mini warmer, or an 8-watt element warmer with a lid. Now, that is not saying that all warmers have set rules, but what I would suggest is you can check out my video. I will link it down in the comments below, how to pick out a good performing Scentsy warmer. But another thing is, before you purchase a warmer, maybe watch some videos or reach out to your consultant and see what their thoughts are. All right, tip number 4, which also links to tip number 5, is that good scents often return. in some form in some future time. You have to be patient sometimes. Now, when I say that, I mean top sellers typically return in future catalogs, and ones that have really sold well tend to typically return in future Bring Back My Bars. Now, one thing I will caution you about when I talk about this is that there are scents that if you absolutely love, you need to utilize the Always Get My Bar feature of Scentsy Club. Now, I haven't really put Scentsy Club as a tip, but in my opinion, Scentsy Club could probably hit every tip in some fashion. It is a Scentsy addict's most valuable tool. If you do not have a Scentsy Club, you probably need to sign up for one. Any scent that Scentsy makes, you can put it in your club. And if it retires, they will still make that Scentsy wax bar for you, even though it's no longer available for purchase on the website. And they will continue to make it for you as long as it stays in your club. If you take it out, it's gone. So keeping in mind, if there is a scent that you love, put it in your club. And put it in your club early. Don't wait and say, oh, I'll do it later. Put it in when you remember, because a lot of times, and raise your hand if you've been there, we've forgotten to put something in our club. And then it's gone. And then you have to wait for it to hopefully be brought back or hopefully get voted back and Bring Back My Bar. Now, just as a sub note, I will say that unfortunately Scentsy's Bring Back My Bar program does have a little bit of, I'm trying to think of the nicest way to say it. It's not the best run in the way they offer the scents up for voting. Hopefully they will make improvements, but there are a lot of things that are sometimes missing or duplicated, etc. But in general, if you love it, put it in your club. But try to remember that the great scents often do return in some manner. What I will say is that great does not necessarily mean great performance. Sometimes you'll see a scent come back and Bring Back My Bar, and you'll think, oh my gosh, this has got to be the best scent ever. And then maybe it'll be very light or it won't last very long. So it is a popularity contest sometimes with Bring Back My Bar. It's not necessarily a performance award type of contest, if you get my drift. Tip number 5 is piggybacking off tip number 4. What I said in tip number 4 is that great scents often return unless it's an LTO. And you're thinking, what's an LTO? An LTO is a limited time offer scent, which means a scent that's just being released as part of a collection or a promotion or a license deal. Those scents typically don't come back. LTOs traditionally will come back if they're very, very popular, but you cannot rely on that. And unfortunately, the Bring Back My Bar voting option doesn't often include LTOs. I've pushed to get some of them included by sending Sensei a master list. I'm probably going to do it again, this time on paper. But I'm just hoping that eventually they'll clue in that LTOs need to be offered up for voting as well, because people have missed out, they haven't put it in their club, and they want those ones back. So if you love an LTO, limited time offer, or a scent that's not super popular, make sure you put it in your Sensei Club, because you may never, ever see it again. Tip number 6 is party links, which I'd like to more correctly term as a shopping link. That's the way I use it. I tend to use shopping links quite a bit as a consultant, and I suggest a lot of my Scentsy Wax Addicts customers have one as well. Basically, what you do is you will purchase your items through the website off your own shopping link, and friends and family, even random strangers, can also attach their orders to your party link or shopping link. And as those purchases accumulate, you're going to be building your tally towards free and half price items. And that's the way I get a lot of my Scentsy is I try to use my shopping link when I have to buy something for my channel. I usually close mine out in Canadian. I usually close mine out when you get to the $665 level, which is the $500 level on the US side. Now that is pre-tax and pre-shipping. But those are when your rewards kind of optimize, so that's typically when I close mine out. Now you can close your party out at any time between when you open it and when it's due to expire. The other thing is, it's a little bit different because the closeout, which is when you pick your rewards, you have to go through your consultant to do that, but they will work with you and try to optimize and give you tips if you're struggling on how to arrange your party rewards. The only thing with parties is you cannot use rewards on licensed products, charitable cause products, clearance products, what else? Perfect Sensei system, and there's something I'm forgetting. I will put it down below if I'm forgetting. The other thing to remember is when you're closing at a party, you can actually buy items at retail as well as use your rewards. So keep that in mind. I've seen a lot of people, they will put an order in and then maybe a day later want to close at their party. Well, you could have done that all in one shots. So anyway, parties for me, or shopping links, are a valuable part of the way I do Scentsy. Even if I wasn't a consultant, I would definitely have a party link at all times. Tip number 7 is to date your wax. So here we have a wax bar, and I put a little sticker on here. This I just got at the dollar store, which is here in Canada. It's basically a square or rectangular sticker that I've cut in half. But I've got other stickers from my friends. They use these stickers. So any kind of sticker that you can put the date on, it'll just help make sure that you're using up the older wax before you use up the newer wax. So let's say you have 5 Wally bars and they all have different dates on them. You would prefer to use up the oldest wax bar first, and having the wax sticker on it will let you know when you pick that up. Not only should you date your wax, but you should also check your wax often. You want to be checking for wax that has sweatiness, which is that slippery, greasy oil kind of coming to the surface. Now that doesn't mean your wax has gone bad. That just means that some of the oils are coming out. Maybe there's been a temperature change or production issue that brought out that issue with a temperature change. But basically those wax bars typically warm very, very well and quite strong, but they're kind of gross to handle. You may see a color change. Those tend to happen with, I would say, like light blue waxes. Sometimes they go to green. That doesn't mean the wax has gone bad. It's just color has changed over time. And on the rare occasion, you will actually have a wax that has gone off. Now, when I say that, you're thinking, well, how can I tell if my wax has gone off or gone bad? Scentsy wax usually does not go bad, but there's the odd scent, and I find tends to be ones with citrus notes that I've noticed. Those ones sometimes will go bad, and it's the kind of thing that you'll be able to tell. For instance, when you smell wax and then you smell wax that is bad, it's almost similar to when you smell milk that is good and then you smell milk that's sour. In your mind, there's no question that it's gone off. So you will know when that happens, if it happens. But I would advise you to typically, for optimal performance, try to use your wax between 1 and 2 years max. Scentsy advises to use your wax within 1 year, but I would say between 1 and 2 years is probably optimal for most wax bars, and many wax bars can even last longer than that. Number 8 is have a testing zone when you purchase wax and you're trying it for the first time. And I've talked about this so many times, you probably are sick of me talking about it, but people still don't do it, and I'm just like, please do it. You're going to waste money if you don't do this. So when you first get a brand new wax bar and you're thinking to yourself, I don't know where to warm this wax bar, first thing you're going to do is you're going to smell it. How strong does it smell on cold? When I say on cold, is basically out of the clamshell. And when you smell it, does it smell strong? A lot of the strong scents you can melt in big areas and they will do fine. If it smells light, those are ones you probably want to put in small areas to start. But in general, it's not a bad idea to have an area in your home that's like a mid-sized bedroom that has doors, and then you try most of your wax there. How does it do in the wax testing zone or the testing room? If you find you put a wax in and it's the same amount of wax you always use and it seems super duper strong, those are the ones you can freely try in a bigger area and not feel like you're going to waste wax. It may not work in your big area, but you're definitely going to have a better chance of success than just doing it right off the bat. Let's say you put the wax in your testing zone and it's very light and it struggles. Well, then you say to yourself, I probably need to warm that in a smaller area, maybe a bathroom or a small storage area or whatever, a laundry room. So that's what I mean when I say use a testing zone. Now, I will say there is something called curing. Let's just branch off and talk about curing. Curing is basically when the wax oils in a particular scent kind of age and develop, kind of like wine does, or even when you make a lasagna, you feel like it tastes better 3 days later. Well, sometimes scents kind of develop and improve as time goes on. Now, vanillas in particular need longer cure time, probably double the amount of most scents. And most scents, when you get them, are typically good to go, but not always. I have noticed, for instance, if I get a Bring Back My Bar set, let's say I get January's Bring Back My Bar set, and I haven't finished warming through all of them, and then the July set comes out, and I still got my January scents, and I'm like, I should really finish these up. Some of those ones that have been sitting around for 6 months, I definitely noticed an improvement in their performance strength after they sit around for a little bit. That doesn't mean they're dramatically better, but some do get quite a bit better. Some stay the same. So curing, is it necessary? Sometimes. Vanillas need more wax cure time than other scents, and Is your wax going to dramatically improve? Probably not dramatically, but it will typically improve, and it's sometimes for me based on a few months versus 2 or 3 weeks. That's my experience. I just wanted to throw that out there. All right, tip number 9, we're going to talk about being nose blind. Nose blindness is a real thing. You could be warming a scent and you smell it for the first 2 or 3 hours and then you're like, I can't smell this anymore. Or maybe you're smelling a wax bar that you've warmed over and over and over and you're thinking, all of a sudden I can't smell this wax bar anymore. Well, sometimes your nose will become used to the scent and then you can't smell it. Or if you're a Scentsy addict, maybe you've kind of grown accustomed to how much scent produces a certain throw and you might need a little more to get that scent throw that you're looking for. Now, you can't smell it anymore, but your neighbor comes over to drop off, your mail that got delivered to them by mistake. And they're like, holy, your house smells so good. And you're thinking, I can't smell a darn thing. So one thing I will say with nose blindness is to make sure, if you think you're going nose blind to a scent, there's a couple things you can do. You can leave the house and come back. Then if you can smell it, you know that it's still working. The other thing is you can turn your wax off, let the wax harden, and you can put if you have removable dishes, you can put your wax dishes in the freezer. The discs will usually contract, fall out, and you can put all those little wax dishes aside for a few days and then try them again, because sometimes trying something at a different day or a different time will give you different results. Think of it this way. I always say the 2-2-2 thing. You want to make sure you warm every scent at least twice. You want to warm them in 2 different areas if possible to get an idea, and make sure if possible you warm something on 2 different days, because by doing every scent twice in 2 different areas and on 2 different days, you're going to be able to tell if a scent works best for you, and you're going to help eliminate some of those nose blindness issues. So that's just my tip. Nose blindness, it definitely happens. If you think you're going through it, the other thing you can do is totally change the type of scent you've been warming for a little bit. Say if you're a bakery lover, melt fresh for about a week. The other thing you can do is you can take time off. If you want, you can stop melting for a few days and then resume. Now, as a scent addict, I usually don't do that, but you can. Tip number 10 is to use Scensy's wax consistency to your advantage. So basically, when it's time to change your wax, if you are melting vendor wax, retail wax, etc., you usually have to use cotton balls or dump the hot wax into a garbage container, or you have to use the freezer method for your wax to contract. But Scentsy wax is very different. They have a unique consistency so that when you turn the warmers off, if you typically wait around 20 to 30 minutes, for me the sweet spot tends to be about 23 minutes. After that, you can gently put your finger into the wax and it will just indent just a little bit and you can scoop it out and it's kind of a little bit pliable. And then you don't have to use any cotton cleanups. You don't have to use any cotton balls. You don't have to wait for something to contract in the freezer. At the most, you're waiting, for me, I'm waiting 23 minutes. Sometimes I will actually take the dish off the warmer and just let it sit there, and that will usually harden up a tiny bit faster, maybe 20 minutes. If there's a lot of wax, it might take a little bit longer to get to that stage where you can scoop it out. So you have to play around. You'll find the sweet spot for you, but just remember, utilize Scentsy's consistency to your advantage. Most waxes are not malleable. They're not the proper consistency that you can do that with. All right, tip number 11 is use your phone and have a running shopping list because a lot of people, they forget to write the things down that they need and they put their order in, and a few times as a consultant, it happens more often than I would expect it to happen, but people will message me and say, I forgot to order something, can I add to my order or can I cancel that? And I'll say, well, you can, but it does take time because funds have to be reversed, etc. So most people nowadays have a smartphone. So you have the notes section in your smartphone, you put upcoming items, and then you start listing. Maybe you want Bonfire Beach, and then you want Vanilla Bean Buttercream, and you want the Retiring Chasing Fireflies Mini Warmer, which is sad. Also the Tea Rose, very sad. So tip number 12 is to always check the clearance before you check out, and always check the club exclusive items before you check out. So sometimes those items can be updated, and there's so many times that I put in a Scentsy order and I forget to check the clearance. It's a common mistake, we all make it, but always check the clearance before you submit any order, just in case there's something you want to add in. And there is a Scentsy Club exclusive list. You have to sign into your account and have to be a club member. Sometimes they update those items as well. They do announce usually when they update the items, but sometimes it's always good to check them before you put your order in. All right, my bonus tip of the video is to keep your Scentsy wax dishes clean. This is very easily done. My best way to keep my dishes clean is I take the wax out, like I just talked about. The dish is still slightly warm. I squirt a little bit of hand sanitizer in. I take a Kleenex, I rub it, dish is clean. It literally takes 15 seconds. If you want me to do a video on cleaning the wax dish that way, let me know. I will put a short out for you. But down in the comments below, I want you to chime in with anything that you might want to add to the conversation. I welcome any input, or if you have any questions for me, put them down in the comments below. I hope you enjoy the video. If you're new, hit the subscribe. Take care, and I will see you guys in the next one.